Well, welcome to another segment of the Grassy Knoll on this August 16th, 2006. This is Viz, and we have with us a woman to whom we will refer as Mauri. Her website is reflectionsinthenight.com. And Mauri, I want to welcome you to the Grassy Knoll. How are you today?
Oh, I'm fine.
Okay, well listen, we appreciate you coming on. We know it's not that easy for you, but understand this also, that we've had Kathleen Sullivan on and Lois Einhorn, and I don't know if you know this or not, if we talk about this at all, but Dr. Ellen Lachter out of New California, San Diego, is aware of who you are and is very much a supporter. So, yeah, I mean, what you're going to tell us today resonates quite a bit with what others' experiences have been. None of them are really necessarily all the same, but you don't have to really prove anything to anybody out there, because they've been well aware over the years that we do treat this subject, and it's one that I think is probably the most unsettling. And but that's the way it is. I mean, it's the truth that goes on. So thanks very much. I know it's not easy for you, and I appreciate you coming on.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? They can go to the website, reflectionsinthenight.com. Plenty of information around there. But why don't you give us a thumbnail about your experience as far as growing up?
Well, I was born April 30th, 1941, in Cedar City, Utah. And April 30th is an occult holiday. Mm-hmm. Valspurgisnacht, especially German. It's a German name for the holiday. And my birth was forced on that day by a group of Satanists there, led by a German doctor. This is the first time I've had a little bit of trouble.
That's all right. I mean, I guess. Well, listen, we can wait. I would hope that there's something cathartic about you coming on, and it does provide you some relief. I would think it does, but of course you know best.
Well, let me continue. Listen.
Okay.
If you go to my site, you'll see that they used me for lots of ceremonies, and what their intention was to use me for sacrifice. Before they actually did attempt to sacrifice me, they used me, well, besides a lot of the satanic bestiality and kind of witchcraft and satanic type things, such as putting me in a manger and making me baby Jesus while they slaughter a cow is what I remember, and then covering me in the blood, that type of thing. Then right before they were going to sacrifice me, they started having different people in the family and in the town do ceremonies in which the participants think that they murder me. They do a number of those, including putting me naked in a pan, like a roasting pan before Thanksgiving, and then telling a group of children. But there seemed to be quite a few people in this town that were in this, that they were going to roast me for Thanksgiving. And in these ceremonies, they don't really tell me that they're not going to do this. So when I remember them, it's pretty awful. I remember a lot of the memories come up where my bowels let go, because I think they are going to kill me. They had my brother shoot me, and my sister, they blindfolded her, and she was supposed to cut my heart out, and they gave her a pig, and I think they used pigs quite a bit, and I think she cut the heart out of a pig. But the actual thing that they did the ceremony where they actually did attempt to take my life was on Halloween.
How old were you at the time, Mauri, when that happened?
3 and a half. I was born in Vyzygoth. They're 6 months apart. I was 3 and a half. Because, they celebrate these. I guess those are kind of like Celtic holidays.
Right.
I think that this group developed into, this is the Church of Satan, seemed to have some direct contact that developed out of this. This is like 1941, but I seem to follow the groups that finally led to the Church of Satan. And in the Satanic Bible, it says that they worship 3 main holidays. One is your birthday. Well, that's entirely true. My observation was they only celebrated the leader's birthday. That was my observation. And Halloween and Valspurgisnacht. And they kind of make Valspurgisnacht the main holiday. I think this is really, so that means that the Church of Satan, I think, really comes out of a German branch of this.
Was there anything, now this was, you said the town was Cedar City?
Cedar City, Utah, right.
Was there anything unto that area, that lent itself to this situation? I mean, was there some kind of magnet there for where these people could work out of there as a hub? Was there something about the area?
Well, yes, I think that's a very big hub. It had the train went through there. This is 1941. Today it has an airport that comes into it. It's right on the edge coming into all the desert where they do all the military, all the UFO sites if you go out farther in between that and the Mojave Desert. And there is some, the Mormons don't like to say that they were fairly heavily infiltrated, but they were.
Well, that was kind of my next question. I was wondering if there was an involvement with Mormons. Let me ask you this.
I think there's a whole Mormon tale that where they are involved, yes.
Yeah.
Similar, actually, to the Zionists. And about the same time.
Did you say Zionists?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the Jesuits had about the same time with the Mormons. So the two together are somewhat similar.
Now, did the military, was it well represented amongst these people?
I didn't get to know the military. If we go forward, on this, I did a lot of stuff out of China Lake. In the Mojave Desert, that was pre-military, and with the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So I did not see military. What I saw were Nazis in full uniform, speaking German.
And what year about?
And from the rat line.
What year would this be about?
Well, this would be a woman. Okay, they drowned me in when I was 3 and a half, and I had a near-death experience with that, and they did kind of succeed, sort of, except that I think I did something called a mammalian diving reflex, which doesn't happen very often, so I think they did intend to kill me. And I survived it, or if you want to have a more spiritual feeling, it wasn't my time, and God made sure I survived it. But I survived that, and they were the town of the satanic portion of the town. The whole town wasn't Satanist, but there were a lot of Satanists there. And there was a lot, later I found a number of complaints from people in that area that there were Satanists there.
Is this Cedar City still?
Yes.
Okay.
They were very angry at my parents, and so I was, we stayed about 6 months afterwards, and the Nazi doctor moved us to California. That would be 1945.
Now, when you were growing up, and I am assuming there were other children involved with this, was there any kind of discussions or any kind of camaraderie or any kind of support for one another?
No. My brother and sister weren't with me. They separated me out. And the other children, I actually online ran into one of the other children in my discussion group. She remembered the Nazis also.
But I mean, while you were all being subjected to this, was there any kind of verbal contact between the children?
No, not that I remember.
I mean, was that all?
I was very much isolated, but for parts of it, I parts of it with the Nazis. I wasn't. I was with other children. When they used me as a gray, I was with other children. Also, there were other grays there.
Now, when you're saying grays, and we'll talk about this later, you're referring to, I guess, what, to represent
yes,
aliens?
Gray, UFO.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you give us a timeline? You leave Cedar City
Okay.
about what time?
Right, at about 1945.
All right, and you're still very young at that time, right?
Well, I'm 4. Let me see if I kind of move ahead here. I didn't know that was going to get to be that hard for me to do. Okay. We come into Los Angeles, and then the first thing, well, we had a short little period where I think they thought they escaped the whole thing. Even I had an aunt and an uncle, and a cousin, and some cousins that were in it, and they came down, and everybody was so happy, and they were so nice to me, you survived and all this. For a very short period of time, I have some memories from that period of time, because mostly it's blank. My childhood is huge amounts of blank areas.
Well, is that because you've
I think they thought they escaped it.
Well, what about yourself? If you have these blank periods, can you tell? Do you know? And maybe it doesn't matter, but I'm wondering whether or not you shut down for obvious purposes.
Oh, absolutely. I repressed most of my childhood. I'm remembering it now. Some of it. Little bits and pieces. The tip of the iceberg.
Now, I know people are thinking this. When you said that you had that experience at 3.5, now although that's an impression that could be obviously indelibly emblazoned on anybody at any age, can you really recall this as a first-person experience?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and slightly before that too, because they were doing a lot of. I had quite a number of memories come up from that period of time, because they were doing bestiality, which I remember mostly as smells and feelings. And they were and I absolutely remember when they brought the baby on the cross. Oh, I have another one up there. I absolutely remember when we were out with a bunch of children in the desert on chains, and they brought in the child and cut off its arm and threw it in the fire. I absolutely clearly remember. I have quite a few clear memories from. Well, I don't know exactly, but that was before they drowned me. So it would be late 2 and early 3. Yes, but I think traumatic memories are different from regular memories. I even have quite a number of memories then after 3.5. I remember Cedar City afterwards, when during that 6 months when then I remember I'm a split. I'm co-conscious with the 2 other portions. The worst portions got split off, and I start to remember when I had a babysitter came in Utah, and I just loved her. Her name was Elsa. And that's when I came out. And I have some memories of playing with Elsa and singing with Elsa.
Let me do this too, if you don't mind, because I might have breezed by it because it's territory we've somewhat covered before, but there's listeners who've not heard other guests, and they might be thinking, who in the world could be doing this to their children? So within this group, what was the drive behind all these?
Well, I see it different than most of the other survivors. They keep calling them all evil, that they loved evil. That's not what I saw. What I saw is you get trapped in this, and then that you are so afraid they're going to kill you that you adapt to that. That's what I saw. I didn't see that they had any power either. Everything that they were to do seemed to come from somebody else's decision. And you adapt to that. Oh, I like this, or I'm so happy to be in it, or we're also, the biggest one is what they say about cults, is this superiority. We're superior to everyone else. I did hear a lot of that. And everybody else does stuff just so dumb, and they're so crass, but it's an adaptation to the fact that they have absolutely no choice.
Why do they have no choice?
Because the ceremonies are extremely violent, and for many people, it's death to leave. If you're up high enough. It would have been for my parents. Oh, they took a house. I didn't mention that.
No, you didn't.
Yes. They sold me to the Nazis. They sold me to the Nazis, and they got a little house for that. And when I confronted my father many years later, I said I didn't think I ever had parents. He said, you didn't.
So in other words, there was an exchange, that if they gave you up, they would be gifted with a home.
Exactly. For their other two, this was the Great Depression. For their other two kids. So from day one, they knew that I was going to die, and they did not get attached. They were supposed to get attached. The whole town was supposed to get attached. If you look on my site, you'll see a picture of a little baby up there. They got me dressed up really cute and had a professional photographer. This is the Great Depression. Take my picture. I'm sure for everybody. They were supposed to get attached to me, and then they all sacrificed me because it's supposed to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they control these people.
All right, so that's the link then that keeps them in for good.
Exactly. It's very vicious. That's why it's so vicious. It is very vicious because that's their control mechanism.
But why would even unless it's just absolute incarnate evil, I mean, what would even drive people to think this is a good idea? I mean, gee, join the Kiwanis or something, you know?
Haven't you heard? Good. Go into the kind of community and ask people why they joined some of this stuff. Ask the guy from the OTO tomorrow why he joins it.
Okay, well, I'll do that. But can you give us...
Because it's progressive, or this is where they have secret wisdom, or, I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. If you read Aleister Crowley, you can see some of what his shtick is to get people to join it. It's never, you're going to have freedom, you're going to find out. I guess the secret knowledge is the biggest thing. But in my parents' case, it was money. There's no question that it was, they went in and they just rounded up in Utah because of the Great Depression.
And so they literally made a deal with the devil.
Right. Right, exactly. That's the way I see it, to a pact with the devil.
Now, just tell us, if you have, and I didn't catch on.
I want to say this. Other people say, oh, my parents sold me and got money all the way, along. I never saw them get another dime for anything they did, and they used me for child pornography and worked it and they worked as photographers for them until they died. I never saw them get another dime. They never had any other money other than what they both earned because they both worked as school teachers. The house was the only money they ever got. After that, they just paid it back.
So in essence, then, they certainly got the short end of the deal, and yourself in the long run.
They did, but I don't even like to view it that way. I like to view it as this giant lesson about greed is sort of, you know what I'm saying? They would have gotten the short end if they'd gotten $1 billion.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, no, I mean, the thing is, they give something, but then, of course, in a sense, they turn on the deal.
They own you, boy. Yep. You just work for them for free.
Right.
For free. And you give your kids up and everything. That's right.
Yep. Now, clear me up. The house was in Cedar City, right?
Yes, that house was in Cedar City. And when they traded to come down to Los Angeles, then they got another house. I don't know quite how that exchange worked, but my father did brag that he never made a mortgage payment.
What was it like for you in school, in your grammar school years especially? I mean...
I don't remember too much about it, but, okay, at that point I had 3 personalities that were functioning. The first personality, which is the core, is extremely autistic. Oh, and that's another big surprise, is autism in the cult. My core personality is just absolutely autistic because they really did brutalize me. And I've heard now a number of mentions out of the cult cult people, online and other places, including Savali, that they create autism. So I am wondering how much of this big increase in autism, has anybody ever invested how much that might be due to psychological reasons? I was absolutely an autistic child.
Mauri, you raise a very good point, but you can imagine the pharmaceutical machinery alone that causes some degree of this, obviously through vaccinations, they're not being cracked by the truth. So, can you imagine anything bigger and more powerful than that? How in the world will anybody ever get to scratch that iron surface,
Yeah. I would like to mention that, though a tendency toward autism runs a little bit in my family. Then the next personality is Kitty, and I thought I named her Kitty. They all use my given name because I'm really just a split. They're all me. I don't have different personalities, but they are definitely dissociated personalities. Is Kitty, and I thought I named her that because Kitty has claws and she's more aggressive, whereas Baby is just totally autistic. But apparently Kitty is a really common name to give the beta sex slaves, so that may be where it comes from.
All right, do you want to describe it?
That's the next thing we did. The first thing we did when we came to California, when they finally realized, we haven't escaped them and they still control us,
right,
is they used me for child pornography photographs, which my parents did, and my partner was a very attractive man from the William Mortensen studio in Laguna Beach. Yeah. So I have a little bit of proof from that because I have a few photos that look like they're up to no good, which they were.
I also want to say, an hour is sometimes not enough to cover the kind of ground we have to with you, Mauri. So we can tell people that they can go to that website, reflectionsinthenight.com, and there's a whole wealth of information there that will probably answer a lot of people's questions, which I'm sure they're going to have after we're done. Would you agree that that's a good place to go to?
Yes, I did want to put this information out, and I kind of, since I saw the cult a little bit different from a lot of other survivors, kind of wanted to put out a little bit how I saw it too. I'm sure, give it a little different perspective.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned if we can go to what was taking place in California.
Okay, what was happening in California, and then all of a sudden, they were kind of happy they had me, because they had the rat line come into the Manhattan Beach area, and they needed children's sex slaves because they needed for child sex trafficking. That's the word they use, but we weren't just trafficked to anybody. We were used specifically for a purpose. And let's see, the rat line was the thing I kind of wanted to come into.
Why don't you explain to folks what the rat line was?
The rat line was where the Catholic Church helped the Nazis escape. All over the world, they say they came, but they came in large numbers to South America at the end of World War II.
Yeah, and obviously they made their way up from South America, which interestingly has always been a stronghold for the Jesuits going back to the 17th century or even before.
Yeah.
So there was quite a pipeline in the Western Hemisphere as well, wasn't there, to get these?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And they never mentioned that they came directly into the United States, but there's a tiny possibility they were here so soon that their first stop was Manhattan Beach, or maybe other similar areas. I really don't know. But I ended up meeting a future president, so this was an important stop.
So there was something probably about Manhattan Beach as well.
Well, it had a little down there in the beach community. They had a Jesuit community. I think it ended up with 4 churches down there. The one I particularly remember is American Martyrs.
American Martyrs. Now, was that hooked up with any particular denomination?
I I believe it's Jesuit. It doesn't say, but it's named after 6 Jesuits that died in Canada. So I would, and they have a school. So I'm going to assume that it is a Jesuit denomination.
All right. Well, they're known as a military.
They don't advertise it. I went and looked.
No, I mean, they're obviously, they were begun by Loyola to be a military order. They do have the trappings of religiosity. And if you ask anybody, they definitely think they're a spiritual order. So that they would have churches, and also perhaps, I don't know whether it had a Romanist kind of mass or not, but obviously it would not be unusual.
Either, because I didn't get invited.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be unusual. No one would question why there's a Jesuit church, because they all feel they're just monks anyway,
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, Manhattan Beach. And do you want to talk about some of the personages that you encountered?
Yes. Let's see. I have a couple of memories with the Nazis and how they were very. I never got to know a Nazi. I got to know Mrs. Hildebrand, who took care of me, and I lived with her during the week. But I never actually got to know a Nazi. They were like really cardboard figures. One of my memories is I'm in a room with a bunch of other children, and somebody's got their, I call this black boots because that's what I specifically remember. It's got their black boots and the military uniform on my chest so that I can't breathe, so I can hardly breathe, and they're yelling, "Please or you die. Please or you die." And I think the reason that they keep doing that, saying it that way, is because they speak German. And I don't understand German. So that was the sentence they used to tell me that I either did what they said or they'd kill me. And I could hear a little boy, and the room was full of girls, so it was kind of unusual. And they had a little boy, and he was complaining at the other end of the room. He was complaining, and so they got a rifle with a bayonet on the end, and they killed him. Let me see if I can go through these names.
Let me do this too at this time.
I think that the Nazi. I went through the pictures and I recognized some of them. I think the Nazi that did that was Heinrich Müller.
Mueller?
Who came with Bormann? Yes, and I remember Bormann too. Bormann was a very controlled person. It was like some people thought he ran the Nazi regime there, and boy, if you go read his history, it sounds like maybe he did. He was one of the last ones in the bunker with Hitler. Mm-hmm. He has a very interesting history, and to have seen Bormann is a definite connection to the rat line, because it is almost guaranteed that that he escaped with the help of the Catholic Church through the monasteries in Italy. His wife died in the monastery of Canada, in Italy, in Italy.
Let me ask you this, and you might have to speculate.
10 children then were all turned over to the Jesuits. Yeah, they were. The Jesuits.
Did they necessarily make it to the United States, or?
I don't think so, but one of them did, because I remember his oldest son. Mm-hmm. So that's, Bormann and his oldest son, I remember. Heinrich Müller, I remember. I can't even look at his picture, I get too upset. Bormann, okay, he's okay. He was one of them, but he was the one that was in charge of the flight capital. I'm having a little bit of trouble right now, so we'll keep going.
I tell you what, Mauri, just grab you a second, because let me do this also. Let me tell folks if they want to ask a question, and I know some do, or make a comment, that they can use Vyzygoth at hotmail.com. That's the email address. MSN, instant message. You can use Vyzygoth, and if you're on Yahoo, you can use Viz1400. If there's something you want to ask or state, by all means do so, and we'll take it on from there. Mauri, just again before you dive back into this is a digression. I'm just going to ask you if you had any knowledge of this, but since you know of the rat line, since you knew of certain individuals that had gotten to the United States through it, did you ever hear any talk whatsoever about Hitler also being secreted out of Germany?
Oh, I wanted to tell you. I think I did, yes, and it wasn't that he was secreted. I had always felt that, and for just no reason, I had always felt that Hitler was just a tool. Mm-hmm. And I think at the end, they weren't too happy with him. He had helped lose the war. And Bormann was one of the last living before he died. I think he died in the bunker. I think they were anxious at that point to get rid of him.
Who's that?
They did not worship Hitler. He lost the war, this particular group. But they like to use Hitler because he's like... he's scary. He has this really distinct look, and he gives these scary speeches. He is used as a symbol. Mm-hmm. The other one that I think I saw a snuff film, Himmler. I think not only did they kill Himmler, I think they filmed it. I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. This is the memories of a child. But I think I saw a snuff film of Himmler, because that's what they showed. I'm going to get into that in just a second.
Okay, but let me just...
I think they pulled his teeth out while he was still alive, and tried to skin him and stuff, and they filmed it. And this was, I feel, the warning that as the Nazis, if you try to put yourself above the Pope, and I think Himmler had some comments he made about the Pope, this is what's going to happen to you. So this is a little different from what they like to project.
All right, let me just clarify. You believe Hitler was executed in the bunker?
Yes.
Okay.
This is just from the way they talked. Okay, I don't know anybody said that, although the man that would know I was there. Bormann was there, and I did listen to him talk. Oh, he spoke German, though, but for some reason, this is the impression I get. Maybe Mrs. Hildebrand, she liked me. She may have talked to me. I don't know. Yeah, I think she used to talk to me and tell me what things that she felt, how sad things were, and how they were losing their culture. And yeah, I think I got a fair amount of information from Mrs. Hildebrand. Okay, so they did not worship. Well, we won't say that. You know how that you think of the neo-Nazis? No, these were cool guys, and they obeyed their superiors. I see them more as the way they seem to me is more like the mafia. And it's interesting that you never see a mafia member get too much public power. And they're to be in the background. And this is what the Nazis are to be also. Very similar to, and that the true new Nazis, that's the way they are. You don't know who they are.
So you're saying...
They don't have a Hitler.
So you're saying the Nazis maintained a certain military protocol.
Right. Secret. Oh, absolutely.
Now
and I think they still exist.
Now we're all familiar with the statement neo-Nazis, but I think what you're telling me that there are for real, not skinheads, but there are those who are keeping the Nazi tradition going.
Right. And it's very similar to the mafia.
I'm wondering
That's the way I see it. They work together. The mafia was also there in Manhattan Beach. Okay.
I'm sorry. Might we assume, though, or maybe can you speak to the fact that this, shall we say, Fourth Reich in a way?
Yeah.
Do you believe that some of these individuals have found their way into far-reaching corners of government?
Oh, absolutely. But in ways, I'm going to discuss a little bit what I see this is a little bit what I want to do, how I think the hierarchy is.
Okay.
I wanted to implicate the church. It's taken me I've always been very upset with Catholic churches. Here's what I think that I saw down at the Catholic American. They did most of their stuff elsewhere. I have quite a number of memories in a local Protestant church that are pretty awful. They killed a baby, and they did a lot of bad stuff in there. But down at the American Martyrs Church, what I think they did is they had the Nazis down there, and they had a lot of kids. and they had films of the Holocaust where they're torturing Jews. They're not the same as the films you see after the war. You see a lot of bodies and stuff, but they filmed it while they tortured the Jews, and they showed those films to the Nazis, and the Nazis raped the kids while they watched the films. And I think, and they called us Nazis. The one person that came back and told her experience, and they called her a Jew bitch. I'm going to be okay.
Okay.
I think what they were doing is they were creating people that would associate extreme violence with sex.
Yeah. I think Freud would agree with you. So yes.
Okay.
I tell you what.
That's how the way they created those Nazis was the worst you could think is how they created them. I never got to know any of them. They were just, I don't know. They just, I'm not sure they had much humanity left at the time they were through with them. They weren't very big. 5 or 6. 5.
What's that?
Even 4. That's how old the kids were.
Yeah. I got 2 questions for you. Would you be willing to try to address them?
Okay.
Okay. This is a while ago, so this kind of brings us back into the first half of the show. And the listener is wondering whether you know, obviously it's got to be within your realm of experience, or maybe even what you've heard, that if any of the members, say up in Cedar City or in California, if any of them got caught in, let's say, any criminal activity, did the group have power enough to make sure that there was no conviction or going through the court system?
Well, right now they own the whole court system. My sister serves on juries continuously. I don't know how many. I do not know how someone can get called for jury duty as much as she does. Oh, I just served on another jury, and she's a Satanist.
So basically a professional jurist, huh?
Right. Somebody should look into that. When they keep using the same people over and over again.
And beyond that, any comments about the judiciary?
Well, I think Los Angeles, they've been there such a long time. They've been there a long time. You know Sue Ford or Bryce Taylor?
Yes.
Thanks for the memories. Okay. We knew, I predate her, but with the same people.
Well, obviously when you...
in that area.
Anybody who's not...
I saw some of the same movie stars.
Well, anybody who's not aware of what she wrote, would you mind telling us what the nature of the book was? Thanks for the memories.
Well, it's about she was a, do they call him presidential model?
Oh, yeah, I think that's the catch term.
She was a beta sex slave for people of power in the movie industry and also in Washington.
I also have another question for you. And again, this may be beyond, but whatever, I mean, I'll let you speak to it. Did you ever hear any talk of obviously from the Nazis, about any kind of military excursion to Alaska during Hitler's time to set up maybe an underground race, or a continuation, if you would say, of this elite?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, most of the feelings I got were just kind of end of the war feelings. I don't know that this particular group then would be, well, I don't know. You know, they spoke German, most of the ones that came across from the rat line. The 2 that came a little later spoke English. I have 2 other famous ones, Mengele and Eichmann, and they kind of came together. Now, Mengele went on to be a famous programmer here, did lots of Mengele sightings. Lots of survivors remember Mengele.
That would be in California?
Yes. What was I going to say? Oh, they went down to South America, and I think they with the flight capital, but they may have been into drugs. I think one of your guests mentioned that, foreman in the drug industry. I think that would be more what they would have been into, would have been, so I'm not sure they would have been involved in the Alaska situation.
Yeah, well, something's going on there, and there's another show somewhere down the road that something has to be looked into. This listener happened to mention Alaska. We're wondering about Antarctica because something's shaking down there. There's no doubt about it. And I think Hitler had a fascination or a preoccupation with that down there as well. And Orwell suggests that in the book 1984.
Oh, I'm sure they're there.
And
I don't have any information.
Yeah. Okay. One other thing, though, too. Did you ever hear, and this may have been too early, about any goings-on in the retreat that we now know as Bohemian Grove, above the bay?
No, but I don't know whether it was too early or not. They've been there a long time. But I do keep up with the survivors, what they have to say. And they apparently use that grove all year long as a place to go up and abuse people.
Yeah.
Shall we say program them, because Bohemian Grove comes up on the group, with your groups that you get on. It comes up a lot, and it's not just males. They're mostly females. They do take the female. The most dangerous game and that kind of stuff. They apparently, it must be blocked off someplace, but they apparently do that at Bohemian Grove, even when the elites aren't there.
Are you aware?
It's mentioned a lot.
Well, did you read the Franklin cover-up?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, there you have accounts from at least one male, obviously Paul Bonacci, about what he saw went on out there. But you're right.
I've heard at least 3 or 4 out of the group.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And Alicia Owens was the other individual whose testimony was central. But of course, no one ever got indicted who was involved in that pipeline of children for sex purposes.
Yeah.
About Mengele, though, apparently he was very much involved with trying to create Manchurian candidates by creating MPD. Do you know that he spent some time in Area 51 basically plying his trade there?
Well, Mengele, I have run across in just my little group at least 3 people that remember Mengele, and we all remember him the same way. He had a little split between his front teeth. Mengele and the famous split. When I first saw his picture, I spent a week going crazy trying to identify that split between his front teeth. So I suspect that he. Do you know who Fritz Springmeier is?
Sure.
Okay. He talks about all the cages at China Lake.
Right.
Well, they had me up at China Lake. This was before the cages, and that area is owned by a Jet Propulsion Laboratory. If the cages went up, Mengele didn't come, I don't think, till around 1950 or 51, somewhere in there. And that would have been after. I was there in 1947 with the UFO hoax. If the cages went up, that sounds to me like a Mengele fingerprint.
Okay.
So, they were big into the UFO stuff.
Well, you had mentioned, and we'll touch upon that next, but now going back, I remember you mentioned at the outset of the show about the Jet Propulsion Labs and the desert. Was Jet Propulsion Labs somehow, some way involved in this whole underbelly?
Absolutely. That's where they sex trafficked me. That's where I got interested in physics. I was sex trafficked down to Jack Parsons is one of the places where Jack Parsons was for a brief period of time the head of the OTO in the United States. Okay. That's where, and I met the movie stars there that were in it, and a lot of physicists. It was the physicists that I sort of made friends with, and I made friends with Jack. They killed him.
Who's they?
The Nazis.
And what was the motive? Do you know?
Yes, I do know. When they set up these groups, they will often kill one of the members. It's very common, and that is a warning to all the rest. After your friend gets killed because he didn't cooperate, you can imagine how much these people hop the rest of their life. They do that a lot. And Jack was not so sure, I think, since he tried to help me. I don't think he didn't mind the OTO stuff and the sex magic, and I don't think he liked that they brought children in there.
Okay.
And he may have stood up about it.
Okay.
So they killed him.
And they paid for it.
And they killed his mother an hour later. And then they tried to do something with some kind of a film that he'd been having sex with his mother. I mean, that's part of the story that's out.
Right.
Jack was a very sweet person. He was born into it. His father was part of the Hellfire.
The Hellfire Club?
Yeah.
Now, is
So
that...
all the stories about Jack, except the nice ones, are untrue. He was a very nice person.
And you're referring to the Hellfire Club being international in scope, correct?
Yes.
Right.
I assume. I don't know that much about it, but when I went to read about it and put it together a little bit with what I remembered.
All right, now, you've mentioned the Greys, you mentioned the UFO hoax. Can you tell us what was all going on about that?
They had out in the Mojave Desert, and I don't know how many people knew because my memory of it was that Mrs. Hildebrand was there, and I was there, and the Nazis were there. I don't remember seeing the group from JPL, but they had. It looked like the China Lake area. It felt right. When I first heard about China Lake, I thought it was up higher in the state. I kind of knew where I was taken. I knew I was taken out in the Mojave Desert regularly. And when I saw China Lake was the Mojave Desert, I thought, oh, how'd I miss that? They had some kind of a hangar, and it looked like they did have, the UFO, they had something. They had something that was round and would go up vertical and had flashing lights, and my guess, the Foo Fighter that they talk about.
In the Second World War?
I kind of looked it up, but I thought it was bigger than that. I would have guessed more like a helicopter that was dressed up.
And
they had something.
Well, what were they doing with it? Were they making films, or?
Well, they were going to do this UFO hoax because they had a group of kids all dressed up like the Greys, and they just made something up to make you look otherworldly, and what they made up caught on. Everybody remembered that costume.
Are we thinking basically about the ET type prototype?
Yes, that's just a little naked child. They put a nylon stocking over your head to make your mouth disappear into a slit, and your ears, two holes on the side of your head, and you can't talk. And they put goggles on. I think they originally used the World War II goggles, but they may have put that down to just the goggle lenses because your eyes disappear too, and you just look like, you don't look like anything. So, and they have you naked, but you see all the original, and they were little girls. They used little girls. They kept us thin because one of the ways they control you is to starve you. But you see all those original pictures, and they're all naked. Boy, I remember being cold. Is what I remember. They kept us naked out there in the desert, and it's freezing cold a lot. I just really remember being cold.
Were you out there for days or weeks straight?
I have no idea because I have no idea. All the memories haven't come up on that. I don't know how much they used me. I just have some of it. Something may come up later, and I don't know.
Well, during your lifetime and during your obviously memory, we had Roswell. Can you shed any light on what we know about Roswell?
Well, I get a little upset when they say that some little, when they say, oh, they caught the aliens and somebody died, then I start to get up thinking one of my little friends died, I don't know. They didn't care whether we died or not.
But do you believe that the whole Roswell situation was an extension of what you experienced?
Yes, I think it was the same period of time.
Well, there's no doubt, obviously, that there have been crafts that can do what we claim UFOs can do, because obviously it does happen. We've all seen things. I don't know what it means in the big picture, but obviously these anti-gravity crafts were around for some time, and you can attest to the fact too. Were they not around in the late 40s?
Yes. They started this. They started this right. Out of JPL in that area. That was started very soon. Well, I remember being there. I think 1947. I think that's about right. Mm-hmm. I think that I was about 6. I think that I felt about 6. So they were real busy out there. They had all of a sudden the Nazis were in there. They'd gotten. They now controlled the group of physicists at JPL, and So they owned it.
Have you, Mauri, written this in toto in a book?
Yes, part of it. I'm doing that. I'm going to do it. I'm working on another one about the rat line right now.
Right. Now,
this stuff is in a book. Yeah.
Are they for sale, or is it something that can be read online?
Yeah.
They are for sale?
Yeah.
Okay, and people can access that by going to the website. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it's just up on Amazon.com.
And it's on Amazon as well.
Yeah, that's what it's.
All right, and the title is
Reflections in the Night.
Okay. Duh.
Yeah.
No, all right. But you can finish up if you want to too, because I also want to ask you how long that you've been, recovering and coming out with this. Whether there was a moment then when you turned the corner and said, "This is what I'm going to do." But if you want to,
when I started remembering it, about 13. How many years ago? 15 years ago. Oh, I want to say something about the levels on this, on the of what I saw on the levels, because it was different.
Okay.
Mrs. Hildebrand used to like to look at me and tell me to be a good soldier, and she did that a lot. And so I have to assume that Mrs. Hildebrand viewed herself as a good soldier. And when I looked up on the Jesuit, she was a Catholic in the background. Mm-hmm. When I looked it up on the oath, the Jesuit extreme oath of induction, the word soldier comes up 3 times. Mm-hmm. Faithful soldier of the Pope, fellow soldiers of the militia of the Pope, and the soldiers of Jesus Christ. The top levels that I saw, that's the way they saw themselves. That would be the Jesuits. That would be the Nazis. That's the way they saw themselves. Mm-hmm. They didn't see themselves as going to hell. They thought they were a part of a wonderful, especially Mengele. Oh, he was going to have this. He was going to save the world. Mm-hmm. That's the way he saw himself. And the mafia. That's the way they see themselves. They do not. Okay, that's the first. I consider those the top level that I saw would be the Jesuit priest, because he was telling those Nazis what to do. When you can tell Nazis who kill people in huge numbers what to do, you got power. So he would be the top, and the next level down was Mrs. Hildebrand, the Nazis, and the Mafia. And they saw themselves in the light of this religious light that they're going to save the world. I think, one world order with Catholicism really is is the one world religion.
Well, I'll tell you
now,
what.
You come down from that, and you have a very different view. What I saw then at the top occult levels, there was a mixture. Some of them who knew who was in charge, and many who didn't know who was in charge. And when I got down at the bottom, which was my family, I guarantee they did not know, and many of them were hugely anti-religious and anti-Catholic. So the knowledge of what's going on as you go up and down the hierarchy is very, very different. And at the bottom level, I think they intend to, when they decide they're going to save the world from a lot of these groups that they've created, we're going to get rid of witchcraft. You need the church, and because, there's all these witches out there. Mm-hmm. You can see the dupe system.
Sure.
As you look up and down this, but not depending on where you are. Some know what's going on, most don't.
No, but you bring up a good point about this is the oath of the Jesuit order, because it is vicious, and like you said, they use the term soldiers because Loyola saw them as being a military outfit in charge of restoring the nations, obviously, that went with Protestantism. And we see, again, their strength and their control to this day. And you're right. We're no stranger to that kind of information. I have one more question for you, Mauri, if it's okay.
Yeah.
Someone has asked, did you ever experience or see any manifestations of what you would call spiritual beings? Something truly otherworldly, perhaps.
Well, You mean my guardian angel?
I don't know. I don't know what the individual has in mind as far as that.
I never saw a demon, we'll put it that way, but no, abused children often get to know their guardian angel, and I certainly got to know mine. I had a lot of out-of-death experiences, or a lot of out-of-body experiences, and she's part of the white light, and she was there on a regular basis.
All right, somebody else wants...
That kind of got me through. I definitely believe in the other side, etc., having had a near-death experience. And
okay, and the other person would like to know what's your take on Jesus Christ?
If you go to my website, you'll find that I read and quote the Gospels a fair amount. I was going to put some of... and you'll find that also in my book. I was going to put some of those religious feelings, because they have to do with the problem with the church, in my next book on Ratline. I think there's a big... in my analysis, I do analyze the Catholic Church a little bit, and how it deserted. I thought it was... I was not raised Christian. I was raised atheist. But I certainly have turned to the Bible as I've researched this stuff.
All right. Well, a lot of us here feel that Christ is the answer, and if you're lit to that, we'd be praying for you, hopefully, that your heart will be open in that manner. And I'll tell you, you write very well. You're an intelligent woman without a doubt, and that's why I asked you once upon a time what was your background, because you write so well. And then you told me it was what? It was physics, was it not?
No, bacteriology.
Okay.
So I could be part of
that whole
the bacteriological bomb or something. They tell you what to take in school. I didn't have any choice.
Well, maybe it's good that you didn't go all the way there, because with the way a lot of those microbiologists turned up, are you familiar with that?
Yes. Yeah, I have been turning up dead.
All right. One more time, Mauri, tell us about the website and how people can purchase the book.
Well, you just go to the website and read it over and see if it's something you want to, if you're interested in reading more on. I have quite a bit of the main information that I did want to get out to the public on the website. Yeah, it's kind of a heavy read, a little depressing, but things you should know.
That's right.
This is going on and I have a little more proof than some survivors do. I have a little proof of the criminal activity they were into. They're big into antiquities. And a lot of survivors don't have anything, but I do have a little bit.
Well, listen, I'm glad you came out to speak to this, because this is a very necessary thing that has to happen in the United States, especially in light of the way the children disappear in this country, the milk carton kids. They've got to know about this. Everybody does. So thank you for going through.
Thanks for having me on.
That's not a problem. I'm going to be talking to you very shortly, too. Is that all right, Mauri?
Yeah.
All right. Listen, God bless you. Thank you very much for coming on.
Okay.
Bye-bye now.